All right. I think I'm live on both devices. This one still got a little. Okay. Just joking. I'm live. Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome to this Sunday's Sippin' Sunday. My name is Stephanie Burke. I'm a life and accountability coach with Power Potential Coaching. I help first geners unleash their potential by figuring out exactly who they are and showing up in the world with authority. All right, so a lot of y'all hear me say that a lot, but what does that mean? A first gener is a first generation change maker. They're a game shifter. They're somebody who woke up one day and said, you know what? Whatever I have had going on in my life in the past is not it. Whatever my family has had going on is not it. And I'm going to change. I'm going to be the one to make a change. A lot of times we go into the world and we don't have any help. We don't have a blueprint. We don't have anybody to hold our hand and walk us through it. We don't got a rich uncle like, here sis, here go all this money, go be great. We have to figure it out on our own. And that is what I help people do. Yay. All right. So if you guys have been paying attention, this week's topic is on releasing the victim mindset. I'm really excited about this topic. This is one of the topics that was submitted about, I said maybe a month or so ago. And I finally picked it out of the tea kettle. So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about it for a couple reasons. One, because I feel like in the Black community in general, a lot of times we hold on to the victim mindset without realizing that we're doing it. And it's very damaging to us. One, as we grow, but also just as we continue to try to make it through life, especially when we're first generation, because we don't have the blueprint, because we don't have help, because we don't a lot of the times have our toolbox filled with tools that we can use in order to push past the victim mindset. We get stuck in, this is why I'm not progressing. It ain't my fault. It's everybody else's fault because I did what I was supposed to do. Right? So I think it's really exciting that this topic was put in the tea kettle, and I have some really good points for you guys today. I'm gonna start out though with a little story. So first of all, y'all don't have me in here talking to myself. That's real ghetto. Don't do that. It makes me look crazy. So if I say something that resonates with you or something that you agree with or something that you want to chime in on, please do. You can say whatever you want to say. I will not be offended. I promise. All right. And the second thing is, if I say at any point during this video, if I say anything that resonates with you, do me a favor, please. Not only send me hearts, because hearts make me feel good. I love to be loved. But also share this video out, because if it's helping you, then 9 times out of 10, it's helping somebody else. If you need help with this, there's somebody else in your circle who needs help with this. If you are trying to figure out what is going on, then that means that somebody else in your life is also probably trying to figure out what is going on. So let's all figure out what's going on together, honey. Okay, so go ahead and share the video so that they can send me love as well, and they can get the help that they need in terms of just pushing past to the next level. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. When we talk about releasing the victim mindset, like I said before, a victim mindset, it's a fairly new term, first of all, but it's also something that we see thrown around in pop culture a lot today. And I think it's probably a fairly new term as well. So when we talk about the victim mindset, we got to first talk about what it actually means and define it. The victim mindset is a woe is me person, right? It's one of those people, I don't have control over how my life turns out. It is what it is. I can't help the cards that I was dealt. Another popular one is, I just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not too big on those type of people because y'all know I'm big on accountability. Those type of people do not take accountability. And one of the things that we have to realize is that no matter what the situation is, there's going to be a lot of things that happen in your life that you cannot control, and that is okay. But you have to figure out what role you play in that situation for it to end up the way it ended up, or for it to have played out the way that it played out. There is something that you did that contributed to that situation in a positive or a negative way. What did you do, and possibly what could you do next time? Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, there are certain situations. Yes, there are certain instances. Yes, there are certain circumstances where you have absolutely no control over what's going on, right? But for the most part, when we talk about what goes on in our lives, especially as adults, I don't let nobody over 25 give me an excuse about what happened in childhood. Because now, and I tell people all the time, the difference between coaching and counseling is counseling will go all the way back in your childhood and we'll figure out what went wrong and we'll talk about it and we'll talk about all your pent up feelings and all your anger and all that other stuff. But when we actually talk about coaching, okay, that happened, but now how do we move forward? And I think that that's one of the things when, in terms of even releasing a victim mindset, one of the things that's very important is being able to say, okay, that happened. I understand that that happened. Now, how do I move forward from what happened? If you are consistently and constantly living in the past, you are never going to grow. If you are not growing, you are not going to become the person that you set out to become. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. You will always be held back by that constant thought in the back of your head. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I don't matter. It's not my fault. I can't change it. I can't help it. And none of that is true in any situation. And one of the things that I tell people that I work with, because I work with a lot of different people who come from a lot of different backgrounds. But one of the things that I like to stress is write down how you felt in the moment when something happened, because now you can figure out why you feel like you were a victim in that situation. A lot of things are going to happen that you don't like or that you don't agree with. And I said this in my last live. Nobody cares that you didn't have the resources. Nobody cares that nobody helped you. Nobody cares that nobody hugged you when you were a child. And I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you what society cares about. And unfortunately, we are in this microwave society where we want things to be instant and we want everybody to understand us. And we feel like we need to be heard and we feel like we deserve to be heard. And when you're on the internet, that works. But in the grand scheme of things, when you are running a business or when you are walking into somebody else's business or when you work for somebody, no matter how you put it, eventually you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. And eventually you're going to have to do things that you don't like. And nobody cares that you don't like them or that you don't want to do them. Because at the end of the day, if you can't do it, then I find somebody else who can, who will, who does. And I think that that is why it's important to release a victim mindset, because at the end of the day, if you are not, so first of all, if you're not progressing, you are slowly dying on the inside, because as humans, we crave growth. We crave something new. We crave to be able to look to the next cool thing or the next big thing or find out what is next. How can I do it? What does it look like? And so when we're not growing, there's a little part of our brain that is not being stimulated and it's dying off. That term, if you don't use it, you lose it. It's true, y'all. Trust me. Okay. And so I said that to say a lot of us are operating under a victim mindset and we don't know it, which is very dangerous. So what I mean by operating under a victim, you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Y'all know I don't usually get too personal with my own personal business, but I'm gonna tell y'all this story because I think it's very, 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 very important, especially when talking about this topic. So in 2019, yeah. In 2019, I got to the point where I felt like I was very, very low. Like I felt like there were things that was going on in my life. And I felt like I have literally done everything that society said that I needed to do in order to be successful. And it still wasn't working out. And I could not figure out why it wasn't working out. I'm like, I graduated top of my class from high school. I went to college. I went to a good college. I got a degree. I finished on time. I went back to school. I got my master's degree. I did everything that society said that I needed to do. I lost every single part of myself. Every single part of myself. And I took away everything that I knew. I stripped away everything that I wanted to be when I was on the job or when I was in front of people. I took all of that away because I wanted to be the professional that society said I needed to be when I walked into a building. And for whatever reason, it's like things just were not working out. When I tell y'all, I was used to walking into jobs and like being offered a position. Like I had never went on an interview and had not gotten a job. And I had went on like 2 or 3 interviews and I still hadn't gotten a job. And finally, I applied at a university, right? A very large university. And I had to do a 30-minute presentation for the role that I was applying for. I had to do a 30-minute presentation. I had to go over my resume, like point by point by point. I was in there with them people for an hour and a half, and it was a panel. And I walked out of there. I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to be making money. Like, life is going to be sweet. Do y'all know them people? It was literally a day before my 29th birthday. She called me back and told me I didn't get the job. I'm sitting in my car like, how, sis? How? Like, were you not there for the presentation? Like, I delivered. Like, I was the bomb.com, y'all. Like, when I walked out of there, I just knew that position was mine. And she told me I didn't get it. And I'm trying to hold myself together. And I was like, may I ask why you didn't get it? And she didn't have a good reason. She didn't have a good excuse. She didn't have a reason to say, oh, you didn't get it because this happened, or because you said this and we wanted you to say this, or because you did this and we wanted you to do this. It was none of that. She was like, oh, well, we just felt like we needed additional things in order to align with the position. When I tell y'all, I had done every single thing that position had said for somebody to do way before I even stepped into that interview. So I was like, how? Like, I just couldn't. So I got off the phone. I said thank you or whatever. I was very nice about it. And I hung up the phone and I just sat there and I probably cried in my car for like 20 minutes. And for the next 3 months, I tell y'all no lie, for the next 3 months of my life, I spent all 3 months saying, why me? What did I do? Why would God put me in a position for me to feel like I have everything and then strip it away from me? I literally used to be like, God, I thought I was one of your favorites. Like, what's going on? I've been your favorite my whole life. Why would you do this to me? Why would you put me through this? Why wouldn't you give me opportunities? Why would you line me up to go on an interview and not give it to me? And I think that was the one of the lowest points of my life. And the reason why is because I was walking around with a victim mindset. Now, when I changed my mindset, and I'm not going to even lie to y'all, it probably took me a good 9 months to get back to a good space. So like eventually I got to the space where I'm like, okay, I need to stop blaming myself. I need to stop talking down to myself. This isn't even me. Like, that's not me. I don't do that. I don't talk like that. I committed to being who I wanted to be all the time, no matter who was in the room, no matter who was looking. I wouldn't talk bad about myself. And when I tell y'all my entire situation changed, I still work at the exact same job that I used to cry every single morning before I got there. But my disposition changed. My attitude changed. My mindset changed. And I became a better person. So I said that to say, your victim mindset can be holding you back from success. Your victim mindset is holding you back from growth. Your mindset is holding you back from becoming the person that you've always wanted to be, or becoming the person that you've always known that you can be, but you're scared to do it because you are sitting there making yourself a victim in every situation. Don't do that. You're better than that. You deserve more than that. Okay? All right, so now that we know that anybody can walk around with a victim mindset, what a victim mindset looks like. So we talked about what it is, right? What it looks like is somebody who is constantly doubting themselves, somebody who runs from responsibility, somebody who refuses to find solutions. So, one of those people who every time something happens, all they do is problem. Like, there's never a solution. There's never a happy outlook. There's never a possible positive outcome. It's all negative. It's all, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's like this. I hate my life. No. That's my voice for people who do that. Another thing that ends up happening is self-sabotage. So in one of my programs, I talk a lot about self-sabotage because we do it without realizing that we do it. And what it looks like is talking ourselves out of promotions, talking ourselves out of positions, telling ourselves that we're not good enough, telling ourselves that we're not worthy, saying or insinuating that possibly we're not worth what we're trying to charge, or we don't have the ability to do this position, or I'm not able to sit next to this person, or I'm not able to do what this person does. One of the things that you will never hear me say, I can sit in a room with anybody. Baby, you can put me in a room with Michelle Obama and I'm going to talk to sis just like she's anybody else, because I've gained that confidence. And so what happens when we have a victim mindset is we take away from ourselves and we sabotage ourselves and we sabotage potential success because we don't know what that success is going to look like. And we're scared because we don't know what the success is going to look like. We give the opportunity away, or we push the opportunity away, or we say, you know what, that ain't for me. That's not me. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. It's just not enough for me. That takes me out of my comfort zone. Or this is one of my favorites. I don't like this person, so I'm not going to do this opportunity. That's insane, right? But it's one of the things that we do. And another big thing is that we lack confidence. So we lack confidence in ourselves. We lack confidence in our ability to make decisions. We lack confidence in our ability to lead others. We lack confidence in our ability to be successful, in our ability to choose, in our ability to verbalize what we need. Like, there's so many things that happen that we take away from ourselves because we're scared of possible negative outcomes. All right. So we know that the victim mindset a lot of times comes from past trauma. But the other thing that we have to realize is that it's a learned behavior. So when we have a learned behavior, just how you learned to do that thing, now you're going to program yourself to do something else. And so when we talk about programming ourselves, it's not easy because, again, we live in this microwave society and we want things to happen overnight. And when they don't happen right away, it's like, oh, since it ain't happening, I'm good. I don't need to do it no more because it's not happening. I tried it for 2 days. What? I did it for 2 days. It didn't work. So why am I keep doing it? Nah, sis, that ain't it. All right. But because we've learned this negative behavior, it now takes time for us to unlearn the negative behavior. So just like you woke up every single day and you decided to be negative, and you decided to take away from who you are, and you decided to not push past your trauma or push past your hurt or push past whatever is going on, you now have to program yourself to wake up every single day and do the total opposite. Let me tell y'all, it's hard. It's very, very hard. It's very hard. And I'm only saying that because I did it. I forced myself to do it. And it was hard. It took a lot. It took a lot out of me. But now I am that person, like, at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 6 o'clock in the morning, after I stretch and brush my teeth and get myself together, I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm telling jokes. I'm happy to be wherever I am, even if I don't want to be there. Because I am okay being me, and I've put in my head and I've made it a habit to smile and laugh and tell jokes. And if nobody else in the room is going to have a good time, baby, if I got to be there, I'm going to have a good time. So even if I have to entertain myself, I'm going to enjoy being here. You know? And so I think that one of the things that we have to understand is that it's not going to be easy, but part of releasing the victim mindset is programming yourself to do what you haven't done or what you haven't been accustomed to doing, or to do the very thing that you've been using to cope with your negative situation. So that's another part of this. A lot of times we use the victim mindset to cope because it's easier to say, it's not my fault, I can't help it, I don't have control, than it is for you to say, I may have messed up. I may not have done what I needed to do. I may not have pushed as hard as I could have pushed. It's a lot easier to say, it's not my fault, than it is to say, you know what? This is what I could have done differently. All right. So when we talk about changing and releasing the victim mindset, step one is definitely creating those new habits and following through on them continuously every single day, even when you don't want to. Even when you don't, especially when you don't want to. Let me say that. Especially when you don't want to. Okay. Part two is to hold yourself accountable. So be accountable for how you think, be accountable for how you feel, be accountable for how you contribute to situations, what you give to situations, what you give to certain people, what you take from those situations. Be man enough or woman enough or strong enough to say, you know what? I am part of what went wrong in this situation. Whatever the situation is. Whatever the situation is. Because when I look, y'all, hold on, I'm going to close this door real quick. All right, sorry about that. Y'all know my munchkins. I got little ones. So part of, and this is one of the things that had to happen with me too. I know for me, when I was down the most, part of what contributed to my victim mindset was me purposely deciding to be negative. I purposely decided to be negative because it was so far from who I was that I figured if I go in every single day and if I don't smile and if I don't laugh and if I don't tell jokes, they gonna know exactly how mad I am. I wasn't serving nobody. Absolutely nobody. Not even myself. Because I was making myself so miserable, trying to make everybody else so miserable. Like, and I'm not gonna even lie to y'all, it makes people more upset that I'm laughing and joking and smiling all day. People don't like to see you happy, especially when they're in the middle of their distress. But baby, what you're not gonna do is pull me down with you. No ma'am, I'm like a little butterfly. I need to fly. I need to transform. I need to be free. Okay? Y'all don't mind me. All right? So be accountable for who you are and how you contribute, but also looking at how you contribute to certain situations, how that affects what is going on in the grand scheme of things. And then be solutions oriented. Okay? When there is a problem, there is a solution. Okay? There are no problems that don't have solutions. COVID came. COVID was a problem. They've now developed 3 vaccines that they're using. It's about 6 all over the world. If they can develop a freaking vaccine for something that was created in a lab, you can solve your problem. You might have to stop. You might have to think outside the box. You might have to pull from other resources. You might have to do things that you're not comfortable doing, or you might have to think of different ways to do things that you've always done. But there is a solution. The solution is there. You have to figure out what it is. Your job is to figure out, how do I get past it? Your job is to figure out, what have I been doing wrong? Your job is to figure out, okay, how can I move to the next stage without ruining or taking away from everything that I've done up until this point to get to where I am? That's your job. Nobody else's. Yours. Okay? And then the last thing that I'm going to say, all right? So the last thing that you need to do is understand where it comes from. All right. So I told y'all, trauma is a learned behavior. What happens with learned behaviors is we get caught up in our behavior and we do it over and over and over again. And when you do something over and over and over again, it becomes second nature. Once it becomes second nature, now we're stuck doing this thing because it's normal for us. It's what we're used to doing. It's how we operate. Okay, so what ends up happening is, okay, so I'm gonna say this. The brain is a very interesting specimen, right? So when we were little, our brain taught us that we may be afraid of spiders, right? You tried to kill a spider one time, the spider ran all over the place, the legs was real long, it got lost, you woke up in the middle of the night, it was sitting over your bed, you almost had a heart attack, now you're afraid of spiders, okay? Now, every time you see a spider from that time on, your brain is going to react in the way it reacted the last time you saw a spider. And the last time you saw a spider, you freaked out, you ran, you screamed, you did whatever. So now every time you see a spider, you freak out, you run, you scream, you do whatever. It's a learned behavior. When you have your learned behavior, your responses to trauma, your responses to what isn't going right, that learned behavior now has to be changed. Your brain is not going to know that you need to change that behavior until your brain is forced to consistently and constantly change that behavior. Does that make sense? I can't do what I'm not used to doing. You're not going to do what you're not used to doing. Your brain isn't going to tell your body to do what your brain isn't used to doing. Okay. So now when you understand where it comes from, whether it comes from trauma, whether it comes from hurt, whether it comes from whatever, not being accepted or being rejected, not getting what you wanted, not feeling love, wherever that comes from, if you identify that situation, if you identify what is going on, if you know what is going on and why things aren't working, you now have the ability to change it when it happens again. You now have the ability to say, I've been doing this. This is not working. This has not worked. I need to do this now. Or I need to try this now. Or in this situation, I always respond like this. When that situation happens, you need to automatically completely stop what you're doing and say, I always respond in fear. And because I respond in fear, I curse people out, I push them away, and I tell them never talk to me again. That has not worked. So now when I respond, I'm going to respond with confidence, and I'm going to say, you know what? I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate where you come from, but I cannot have this conversation right now. Can we have this conversation in an hour when I calm down? That's one of the things I done got real good at doing, y'all. You know what? I can't do this with you right now. And it's not even like it's with anybody. Sometimes it's with my kids. You know what? I can't. Just go draw. I'll be back. Let me pull myself together. Okay? Because without knowing that we're struggling, or without understanding that we don't have the tools to handle something, we continue to handle it wrong. You don't have to continue to do things the wrong way. You do them because you've been accustomed to doing them the wrong way. But if you choose not to change, when you have the ability to change, so you have the ability to change, but you're choosing not to change because change is scary, that's on you. That's when you have to take accountability and say, dang, you know what? I messed up. But it's a lot easier to push it off on somebody else. And that's where the victim mindset comes from. All right. So I'm not going to keep y'all here all night. I know it's kind of late, but I am going to do a quick recap. All right. So we talked about releasing the victim mindset. When we talk about releasing the victim mindset, one, we have to realize that, one, what it is, and that a lot of us are displaying it without realizing that we are displaying it. We are doing exactly what we blame other people for. We'll look at a celebrity on TV all day and say, oh my God, they always whining about something. Something always wrong. They can never be pleased. It's easy to look at somebody else and say what they're doing, but it's so hard to see when we're doing it. If you were not here earlier, I gave my example of my victim mindset and what it looked like for me. And a lot of times we fall into it without even realizing that we're doing it. So if you were not here earlier, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and rewind this thing back in a few minutes when I'm done so that y'all can hear it. But that's that. All right. So first we have to realize what it is, what it looks like, and that we may be doing it even though we don't think that we're doing it. You're walking around with the victim mindset. Once you figure out what it is, what it looks like, and that you may be doing it, now we have to change that behavior because we've made the mistakes. Now, how do we change it? How do we fix it? How do we make it better? Right? So in order to do that, we have to figure out where it's coming from. Understand that it comes from trauma. It is a learned behavior, and that behavior now has to be reversed. Okay? We have to be solutions oriented, and we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we act and interact in those situations. Okay? So once again, my name is Stephanie Burke. I'm a life and accountability coach. If I said anything throughout the duration of this video that you was like, yes, sis, you was on to something, I like what you are saying, please do me a favor and share it out. Send me the love. I appreciate it. It lets me know that I'm doing something right. And I always like to know when I'm doing something right. Likewise, if I'm doing something wrong, y'all go ahead and tell me. I'll fix it. I promise y'all. I'm solutions oriented. Okay? When something ain't working, I'm willing to fix it. The other thing I want to say, y'all, I am running a summer special for coaching. I do one-on-one coaching as well as what I call micro mini sessions. So I just I just created those. If you guys are interested in them, definitely send me a jewel to my DM. So the jewel or the gem emoji, go ahead and send that to my DMs, and I will send you guys more information on that. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know it's getting late. My brain be flicking off on me. And then the last thing that I want to say, if this is your first time at Sipping Sunday, I do this somewhere between 2 and 4 times a month. I try to do it every Sunday. But that's also why I changed the time. So it used to be 12 p.m. in the daytime. It is now 8 p.m. at night, with the hopes that I could be a little bit more consistent. But y'all know these holidays keep falling on Sundays and they be throwing me off. But we're going to try to be here every Sunday at 8 p.m. If there's something that you'd like to hear about, something that you'd like to talk about, something that you may be interested in, go ahead and send me a DM, drop it in the comments, send me a link, drop it under one of my pictures, whatever, and we will eventually talk about it. But I thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's probably been about 30 minutes. I thank y'all for hanging out with me on these 30 minutes. Like I said, please like and share my video, and make sure you DM me any topics that you guys want to hear in the future. Bye, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.